Well, shwmae pawb and croeso o gyginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard and as you know, this week we are celebrating Irish Week because it was St. Patrick's Day yesterday, and we're going to be making a Colcannon Cottage pie. Not very easy to say when you're trying to say it to a screen, and I promise you it is absolutely blasus iawn, super tasty. So just now that I have got all of my computer bits sorted, all that I need to now do is just quickly go and wash my hands. So this is your 20-second warning to go and grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a sheet of paper and a pen to write down the recipe and the ingredients, and I will see you in literally 19 seconds and 53 milliseconds. I will be back. Well, good afternoon if you've just joined us. I'm just quickly washing my hands. We're on the second day of our Irish cook-alongs and we are going to be making a Colcannon Cottage pie, which I promise you I had for my evening meal last night, and it is absolutely blasus iawn, super tasty. So I'm just washing my hands, grabbing myself a little paper towel. That can go into there. I'll pop a little bit of antibacterial gel on my hands and you'll be pleased to know that I am back in the room. So as with all of the at Happy Cymru Cook-alongs, I just need to start off with my official part this afternoon, and then it will very quickly, I promise you, go downhill from there. So my official part this afternoon is Prynhawn da pawb and croeso o gyginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard, and as I already said right at the start of this film, today we have got the second of our Irish cook-alongs, because as you know it was St. Patrick's Day yesterday, and we are going to be making a wonderful, really easy but really tasty little Irish Colcannon cottage pie. And the Colcannon is the main part of this, and if you've had Colcannon before you'll know that it basically it's nothing extravagant. It's using leftover ingredients from the fridge. It uses mashed potato, a little bit of spring onion, a little bit of cabbage. You've got option of adding some cheese, mix it all together and you've got that lovely Colcannon sort of mash to go on top. And I promise you, I had this for my evening meal yesterday and it really is absolutely blasus iawn, or cowin lush, right? So this recipe couldn't be any easier. It's a chuck it all in the pan sort of recipe, and then you put your stuff on top and bake it off in the oven or under the grill for 5 to 10 minutes, right? So the way that we're going to do it this afternoon is I've done the main bulk of my preparation, and I'm hoping by now, before I go through my ingredients, I've just reminded myself that if I click that button just there, the recipe card should have just come up on the side for us just over there. I got a little bit of a new system going on, so I'm hoping that it has just come up, and yes it has. What we're going to do is the main thing for our cottage pie is the bit of protein, or i.e. the meat or the sort of lentils that you're going to be adding to it. And as you can see on the recipe card, you've got a couple of options, right? You're either going to be using 400 grams of lean minced beef, okay, which you would fry off before adding the rest of the ingredients, okay? You can either use some minced lamb, and then again fry that off and then drain off the fat and add the rest of the ingredients. You could use some mince, some corn mince, or as I'm doing this afternoon, because I'm trying to have a meat-free Thursday, I'm just going to use a can of green lentils. And this is really makes this dish really cheap as well, because I think I only paid about 40 pence for those. So our protein is coming in the can, and this works out less than 99 pence per person, and I promise you it is absolutely blasus iawn. So I'm just going to start off with my canned lentils, and as I've mentioned before, canned lentils are absolutely fantastic. They help towards our 5 fruits and vegetables a day, okay? So they're going to help with that green part of our eatable guide, although you can't actually see it on the screen at the moment. But they help towards a fibre day. They're jam-packed full of fibre, which means that it's going to keep us fuller for longer, but also helps to keep the food moving around in our bodies as well. So these come in water. Normally, if I was making or adding these on the side of my plate, I'd say drain off the water. You don't necessarily have to with this recipe, because that water has got lots of flavour in it as well. So I'm just going to pop it all in like that. I'm going to save the can because I'm going to add some more water in a couple of moments. So we've got all of that just in there. And I find that once they're cooked down with everything else, they look quite like little pieces of mince as well, so the family might not even notice that they're actually eating that. What you could also do is you could use less of your meat, but also add a can of your lentils, so you're starting to bulk it out but also make it a little bit cheaper. I've got lentils for some reason all over my table. But then we've got the rest of the veggies, and obviously, as with all the cook-alongs, we're trying to bulk this out with as many veggies as possible. So I have got the obligatory onion, and I've got a clove of garlic just there. So all of that is going to go in. And what you need to do is, again, if you're using your minced beef or your minced lamb, you need to make sure that has been cooked off first of all, just in the saucepan. Brown it off for 4 or 5 minutes, just until it's not pink anymore, and then you can add the rest of the ingredients. I'm not going to pre-fry any of these, because pre-frying means that we're adding extra fat, right? All the flavour will come when it's boiling in its own juices. So we've got our 1 onion and our 1 clove of garlic. I've got 1 large carrot just there, and believe me, this recipe, these quantities will easily serve 4 people quite happily, right? So you don't have to have loads of different veg or huge quantities at least. The next thing is I've got one large stick of celery, and again, that's going to add a little bit of flavour. So we're starting to add all of that flavour, and I know some people don't particularly like raw celery. They don't like the taste of it. However, right, once it's cooked down, you won't even notice it's in there, because there's going to be so many other flavours in there as well. And the last thing that I found lurking in the bottom of my fridge, which is what I wanted to show you, right, which is great in this as well, is a little bit of broccoli stalk. So I'm actually using the head or the florets of the broccoli as some steamed veg afterwards to go with my cottage pie, but I'm going to use the stalk, and I've just cut it up really finely in my little cottage pie, and that adds the flavour of our broccoli, but without all the sort of florets pulping down and turning everything sort of a mushy green, right? So all of that just goes in there like that. The last thing that we need to add is, before I add any liquid, is I've got my thickening agent. So I've got 2 teaspoons of plain flour just here. So I'm just going to pop all of that in just like that, and I give that a really good mix, just to make sure that everything is coated, and that also ensures that you won't get any lumps afterwards, because it's started to absorb already. The last things then, we've got 1 teaspoon of tomato puree, again just to add a little bit of flavour. I've got 1 reduced salt stock cube. Obviously, if you're using beef or lamb, then you could quite easily use a beef or chicken stock cube. This is actually a vegetable one, because as I said, I'm having a meat-free sort of Thursday today. So we've got that just there. The last things that we are going to add is the obligatory teaspoon of parsley, and I'm so good at measuring parsley now, I don't even have to use a teaspoon. So that's about a teaspoon just there. And again, I want a teaspoon of my mixed herbs. And again, I know how much a teaspoon is. It's about 5 little taps like that, right? So we got that just there. And then, traditionally, I would be adding a little bit of gravy browning to this, right? but you can't often find gravy browning. But what I'm going to add is a little bit of yeast extract, also known as Marmite. You either love it or hate it. I hate it on toast. I love it in food, right? Because it has a little bit of flavour, but more importantly, it'll darken your mixture as well. So you won't have people in the family saying, oh, this isn't dark enough. This gravy doesn't look dark enough. So you add a real good teaspoon of that. That just goes in just as so. And as I said, that's going to add a little bit of flavour, a little bit of salt, because Marmite and yeast extract can be quite high in salt, but it has got extra vitamins and minerals in it. So you can see all of those just there like that. The last thing that we're going to add is, I kept my can, as I said. I'm going to fill my can all the 3/4 of the way up. That works out about 300 mils, and you can see I've got that just there. I just pour all of that in just like that, and I give it a really good mix just there. Then this is then going to go onto the hob, bring it up to the boil, and then you reduce the heat, put a lid on sort of slanted so it can, some of the liquid can evaporate, and you're cooking it for about 20 to 25 minutes, and I promise you, your kitchen will smell absolutely blassis young, really tasty. So I'm just going to pop that just onto there, and I'm going to cook that later. But in true sort of video and television style, here is some that I made earlier, and if I hold that up, you can see that little cottage pie base. And again, I've made this with the lentils because it's my meat-free Thursday today, and it smells and looks absolutely delicious. The last thing that you could be adding to this then is some peas. I don't add it right at the start because the peas will go grey, right? So you want to try and add the peas right at the last moment. So I am going to add those, but right at the last moment. So let me move some of this just over here. And as I said, this mixture, right, I've already used a couple of some of that to make 2 little ones. Let me just check them just there. Oh, they're cooking nicely. I can switch my oven off for a moment. But this will easily make sort of 6 little mini ones like that. It'll easily make, I'm trying to see if I've got a tin as an example. Yes, I have. There's a little tin just here, that about that sort of size, a medium sort of 1.5 litre sort of pie dish or something like that, and it would serve easily, as I said, 4 people, 4 adults, really well. So to make this, all that we've got is, I'm just going to pop a couple of spoonfuls of my filling in just there, and it seems to be falling all over the place, right? And all of those vegetables, after 20 to 25 minutes, you won't even see the red lentils. You see the green ones because they look like mince, right? But you won't see anything else. So that all just goes on there just as so. The next thing that we're going to add and sort out is our Colcannon sort of mash. So as you can see on the recipe card, what you need to do is cook 500 grams. That's more or less sort of 3 to 4 medium to large sort of potatoes, probably larger potatoes, to make your mashed potato. Mash it down, and then you're going to add your cabbage, your cheese and your spring onions, and also the obligatory parsley, right? However, I cheated today, and I'm actually using some instant mashed potato. And for those older people watching today, I remember the Smash advert where they had all the little Smash robots, right? Fantastic. For the younger people, you were missing out, right? So we got that just there, and I've actually just cooked this off in my microwave just up here, can't reach. So let me just bring that out, and I've just heated it up, followed the packet instructions, so I've got some warm mashed potato just there, right? And if I'm honest, if I was offered this on the side of my plate, I'm not that much of a fan of mashed potato anyway, I'd probably say no, right? However, we're going to jam pack it full of loads of other flavours, so it takes it from instant mash to a Colcannon mash, which is absolutely delicious. So what we got just here is I've got about 1/4 of a small Savoy cabbage, and when you're using and choosing the cabbage that you're going to use for this mash, you want something like a Savoy cabbage because it's got the crispy sort of edges. I haven't cooked it off because it's going to cook off when it goes into the oven, right? So we don't want to cook it off too much, and I'm just going to start to mix that in, and the heat from the mashed potato will already start to allow it to cook a little bit. Then I've got my spring onions, very traditional in a Colcannon, and I'm just going to give those just a little mix, just as so. And then I've got my parsley, not very traditional, but as you know, this is my favourite herb. Adds loads of colour and adds loads and loads doesn't add loads of flavour, just add loads of colour, right? Add some flavour, but not a huge amount. I was getting carried away then. So that goes on there just as so. You could add a little bit of black pepper to that if you wanted to. No extra salt, because the salt is coming from your cheese, right? The salty, mature flavoured cheese is going to add loads of flavour. So I've got 25 to 30 grams, which is our daily recommended amount just in there. I'm going to use half in and then half on top, right? So give that a really good mix, just as so, and you've got your cheesy mashed potato, right? So that is ready just there. And all I'm then going to do is I'm going to start to get that on top of my pie, just like that. Just a matter of layering it on to start with, and then you can worry about how you're going to sort of sort it out afterwards, right? So layer it on. I like to do it in spoons, just as so, just like that, and then pop that just there, that one on there like that, and I might have overfilled that one. So you can see that I've got a slight issue that I haven't got enough, so I'm going to take some off there. This always happens, right? So talk amongst yourselves just for 2 minutes. There we go, that's better. So all that I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread that over. Try not to have any of the base sort of showing. Now if this was just a normal cottage pie without the Colcannon extras, right, you'd be able to do your little smart little lines going that way and it would look really nice. However, because you've got your sort of cabbage in there, it doesn't work, right, because I tried it on the other ones. So all that we're going to do, we're going to leave it rustic, right, but I quite like rustic anyway. The last thing I'm going to get is just a little baking tray, just as so. So I've got my little baking tray just like that. I've got my final bit of cheese, and I've forgotten to add my peas. I'll add them on the side now. So we got those just there, a little bit of cheese, spread that over, and then when you can make these in advance, or at this stage you could make 4 of these, right, 5 of these possibly even 6. You could have 2 for your evening meal if there's just 2 of you in the house, and then you can freeze the rest, right? So you've got your instant sort of ready meal, so, and you know exactly what has gone into it. So I'm just going to pop those there because I'm going to freeze those down and for a later date, because I've got loads. So let me just tidy up just here, and whilst I'm tidying up, perhaps this is a good chance for me to talk very briefly about the fact, I've forgotten to add my lentils to there. About the questionnaire that the Happy Project is currently doing on about all of the Facebook programs that they are running on their Facebook page. Again, I know I say this all the time, if you haven't had chance to complete that form, then I know that the Happy team would really appreciate you filling it out. I'm hoping by now that someone from the Happy team has just put the link on for the questionnaire. It should be in the comments page. If it's not, I will put it on in a couple of moments. So just while I am cleaning up just here. If anyone's got any questions, now is probably the time to ask them, and either myself or one of the Happy team will be able to answer those. So let me just wipe all this area down. I'm waffling now. So here's one that I made earlier. I'm going to use my little oven cloth just here, and let me bring those out just here, and you can see that here are some Colcannon cottage pies that I made earlier, and if I do say so myself, I think they look super tasty. Nearly ended up on the floor, lovely and golden brown, and they really do smell absolutely blasses young. And when I was trialing these, I was thinking, is the cabbage going to work in this recipe? And yes, it does. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's a great way if you've got younger kids, right, that don't like vegetables and don't like this and don't like that. It's a great way of hiding them in there, right? And you can say it's speckled, right, or something like that, which is really good. So let me just grab myself a little sort of large spoon, which is just there, and I'm going to try and attempt to get this out. Now, the great thing, I'm going to pop that just there, out hot, okay? And the great thing about doing them in these little sort of pie dishes, these little foil dishes, is that they should pop out quite easily. So let me bring that out just as so. Oh, looks going lush. So I will bring and get all of those out, and let me just grab myself, this never works, there we go. So let me just pop that on the side just as so. I've made a mess on the side now, and let me just pull that off just like that, and I'll clean that side up in a couple of moments. Push that bit in. As I said, I'm going to serve this today with the peas that I was meant to serve or pop in it, and I have also got my steamed broccoli as well, so I'm going to pop my broccoli on that side just there. So I steam this in the microwave just before the start of today's session, and the last thing I need is just my little cloth just to wipe the side just like that, and you can see that we have got our Colcannon cottage pie served with steamed broccoli and a side of peas as well. And I promise you, this, when you taste it, is absolutely delicious. As I said, I've done the lentil version today, but the recipe card on the side does tell you the meat versions that you can do as well. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's cook along. It's been wonderful showing you how to make this Colcannon cottage pie, and all that leaves for me to say is diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much for watching. The recipe card for this Colcannon cottage pie, as well as the soda bread that we made on Monday, and all of the other ones that we have done for the cook-alongs, are available on the Facebook page as well as the website, and the link for that is available on the Facebook page as well. All that leaves for me to say is diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much for watching, and cooking your happies.